We go live to Venezuela. The Interior Minister Diosdado Cabello is providing statements. Let's listen.
We can announce that today the the rates of homicide per inhabitants of Venezuela are not just below the international standards, but also it is hard to that any country can reach this figure. There are barely 4 homicides per 1,000 inhabitants. It is a coordinated policy. It is a very well pursued policy and a very well done work. Besides this, with all interventions in matters of wildfires, emergencies, the summons of our country to support other countries in case of disasters, it is a very important coordination, and in addition we can add other issues like the security of the country and the peace of the country in general terms of constant threats against our country. Despite all those threats, the country has managed to surpass the majority of them. That's a myth that the sectors of the far-right opposition can move on and become ships or prayers or preachers of truthful democracy. You remember that from the beginning of the year we have been announcing that sector of the far-right fascist, well, the last year the far-right fascist opposition did not count up with electoral plans. They just wanted to generate violence. And right here we just denounced the mercenaries, the Venezuelan mercenaries and foreign mercenaries of several countries with the active participation of security institutions of other countries as the intelligence Spanish institution and the CIA, who were training these groups and financing these groups with the aim of generating in Venezuela terrible acts of terrorism and violence, collective and selective violence. So they want to generate violence regardless regardless of their commitments, of their crimes. And I repeat, we have been denouncing, we have been exposing before the country and the world over 500 powerful weapons. We have seized explosives of different natures. We have recovered in the last seizure that it was at the end of the year. So some chargers and some. We have to recall that one of the characteristics of the first shipments that there were few chargers for munitions, and so we managed to detain a group of chargers who were just in fright, and all those investigations are advancing. Who sent them? From where? Who received them? So they are, most of them are detained, and so the majority of these detainees are part of this opposition, of this fascist opposition who doesn't believe in the country, and they began to say that they are political prisoners. That's the narrative they have applied. So that violence, that planned violence, always with the same narrative, and which is the narrative that one, sabotage to public services. And I must say that they have declared that those mercenaries, and they have declared their tasks provided. We have found electronic devices, photos, electronic the public services as the subway in this case. So they don't have any kind of values or principles. That's why they have been capable of attacking health sectors, healthcare centers, and education facilities. And they have attacked transport system. They have been able to attack the power grid, and it was a hard blow when they attacked the gas plant in the eastern of Venezuela. Why a hard blow? Because it affects not only the oil sector but also the electrical system. And with the affectation of the electrical system, all services are affected. And so, the one to blame is the Maria Corina, she's being operated behind a political disguise in an attempt to seem a political reason. And so we add to that the use of mercenaries. It's not new. It's not a new strategy. The youngest. Remember on April 11, in which we detained mercenaries who shut down against the riot of the own opposition, and so they themselves set them free, and they were detained nearby Miraflores, and at least 5 Central American mercenaries. What did they do in the time when they were ruling after the coup d'etat? They just released them and made sure they leave Venezuela. And that same narrative, they have been using that same narrative, that same script, and they use it on July 9th, and on April 11th they use snipers to shoot down their own people from far away. On July 29th they used hitmen. It's been demonstrated that that those people killed on July 29th they were killed by the opposition sectors. It is in the same plan, and so the ones who they killed are for blaming the revolution for it, for accusing the revolution before the alleged violation of human rights. When they themselves promote the acts of violence, they themselves promote and hire and execute the acts of violence. Afterwards, there were the denunciations of this year, and the denunciations of the capture of the different nationalities, over 120 citizens who are detained for because they were participating in destabilizing actions in Venezuela. And I repeat, they have been talking, they have been declaring, they have been pointing out their plans. They have been telling from where they got financed, and they said that the financing came from drug trafficking from the hands of Ivan Duque and Uribe. And that's the terrorist group led by Mariana Machado. That group wants to generate chaos in Venezuela. They don't have a plan. They don't believe in elections. They have an assaulting plan for the power, and so for them, we can talk of of juniors here who have assumed protagonism. No. So the people have decided who's the president. The people have decided how come they can be ruled. They have decided on their constitution to decide. Well, the justices of peace were elected recently in December. It is an authentic democracy, and they don't believe in that. They think that they are sons and daughters of the rich ones, and so they hate our people. They are charged of hate, and they have feelings of retaliation because of the Bolivarian Revolution. It fulfills 25 years. And on January 10th, within this institutionality of Venezuela, we abided by the Constitution, which stipulates that on January 10th, the president-elect take office, and the president-elect is Nicolás Maduro, and on January 10th, all is planned for that to happen. Yesterday, there was the installation of the National Assembly, and so they announced that they would stop the National Assembly, but everything was installed in tranquility, in peace, and that same National Assembly headquarter of the legislative power will be taking office the head of state as abided by the Constitution, and this will be done without any problems. The far-right Venezuela was nerve-wracking. It is very uptight. The opposition, the terrorist opposition, it is a deployment which is regular of the Venezuelan police officers, because Venezuela will receive representatives of over 100 countries to the swearing-in ceremony of President Nicolás Maduro, and we must guarantee peace and security of those international guests, and we are working for guaranteeing the peace and security of all Venezuelans across the nation. And so they will have reasons to be nerve-wracking. They will have reasons. And the truth is that one of the things that we can see on social media is the attack, the military deployment on the streets of Caracas. The military police deployment has to do with the security of the state. Pay attention that they have been talking about the deployment, but no one talks about abuses. No one talks about abuses. So the security corps are just deployed, complying with their function, accompanying the people. There is a reality. These people want peace, tranquility. The people want peace and tranquility. And what happened in December, well, we must, so the parties in December, they happened recently. Who attempted to go to the beach yesterday? How many people were at the beach yesterday enjoying in families? So maybe the sad people, the uptight people who don't want that the Venezuelans be at peace, and so they want to disturb that peace, but I am sure they will not get it. We are sure that they will not get their target, and so they have announced plans. Till yesterday they were announcing plans. So now they remember of the military, they remember of the police officers. They never mentioned the police corps, and so they name it and summit. So do the job that I am not able to do because I am not capable of doing it. And so life is a cup of tea. In that way, we must recall that what they have said, the military who have listened to that empty message. And I repeated that this is a cyclic story. It is always the same plan. Where are they? Just name one. Where are they? They were summoned, and they just make big parties with some saints, leading saints. The one, the Mendoza, who has been passed away, they took over the Saltamira Square with its conspiracy. And so where are the military there? Where are the military of April 30? Just name one. So when we got into the social media, and so they said that the lack of attention, and they were used and they were then abandoned. Where are the military of February 23rd? Where are they? Those who cross over Colombia, and the criminal of Juan Guaidó said that he had over 80% of the military corps. Where are the military? Where's the help that they promised, the payment they promised? So all that was stolen among Olivares, among the ma'am Thatcher, who was a legislator, Gavia de Llano. So they stole that help. That help that was for them, they were just abandoned. They left it at the hotel. Duque and Uribe are financing Maria Corina Machado with money of drug trafficking. And we from here, from the ministry, we are compelled to tell our people, to inform our people about these activities the far right is planning under the same narrative and script. The end of this would be the use of violence to attack their own people, to blame the government, to blame the revolution. We always recommended parents, talk to your sons and daughters. Don't let them fall in those deceitful offers, because behind that there are just deceitful bits. What did they do with the detainees on July 29th? They were concerned about their families. They were abandoned, just abandoned. Likewise, because that's the same way of operating. On January 10th, Nicolás Maduro is going to take office as abided by our constitution. There is a very discredited character, former president of some countries, former head of governments of some countries, the big majority with files, with records, with crime records for corruption or being attached with drug trafficking, and they said they will come to Venezuela. We are waiting for them. We are just waiting for them. No one is inviting you, but your presence here indicates an invasion to the country, and so we are waiting for them as invaders, and they will be detained, and they will be at the service of the judicial system of Venezuela. So come to Venezuela. We are waiting for you. Venezuela must be respected, and we will get respected, and we have no hesitations about it. No country in the world, no criminal of any of these former presidents have the moral authority to get involved in the internal affairs of Venezuela. So remember the group of Lima, those idiots, those twerps of the group of ideas, call themselves as the group of ideas. So who are they? Who are their criminals? Former presidents from Ecuador, the Guate, who was sentenced to 12 years in prison for corruption. Calderón from Mexico. Moscoso, referrals of corruption in their countries. Those are the allies of those who want violence for Venezuela. That group that intends to assault the power, they will just not reach that. Whoever intends acts of violence or destabilization must hold their accountability. The answer would be resounding. The answer would be according to their actions. So, those who has ears must understand, and so we guarantee that you won't be evil. You won't will anymore to attack Venezuela. So the people recognizes the results. The people. So a country that sectors who were at the groups of violence lately in 12 years and who left from there today are determined to a democratic play, and so they condemn the acts of violence, and those groups have received attacks from fascist sectors as they were never being friends or together. In some, Venezuela is at peace and it continues to be at peace. Whoever wants to disturb peace must hold accountability, and we will hold our responsibility too. So there's one thing that they dislike. Always national unity is fundamental. But today, we are more united than ever. The president has summoned to popular military and police fusion, which is not only wars. We were just talking with the head of the military, the planning of all these days in which our armed forces participate, our people participate, and our police corps participate. So it is a teamwork, a coordinated teamwork. So they will guarantee the victory of peace, which in the end we will be thanked by even the opposition, by the entrepreneurs. So entrepreneurs just dedicate to your company's work. So we are giving all conditions for you to work, and so forget about all these conspiracies, because then you don't waste your time, please. So you have questions. So now Marina Jimenez from Venezolana of Television. Good morning, Minister. So you were referring to this group of former presidents who have pronounced to attend against the country's stability and peace. And also there is a leader known as Edmundo González Urrutia, who has an arrest warrant for conspiracy, suppression of functions, disregard of national entities as crime association against and among other crimes. However, he's being making a tour for on Latin American nations, informing that he will coming back to the country, asking for political support, and he is guaranteeing that he will take office on January 10th. So, what is the position of just judicial systems of Venezuela? Because I want to ask you about the $100,000 of reward for information about the capture of Mr. González Urrutia. So, what elements can you give us from this important amount of reward? So, Mr. González Urrutia is very coward. Remember that the country must recall that on July 28th, he went to the embassy of the Netherlands. No one was persecuting him, but he just get into the embassy, and at that embassy he was till he left to the embassy of Spain, and then and so we were given the possibility to go to Spain, and his only concern in Venezuela were the plans he has in an apartment and a bed there. He has no concerns over Venezuela. His only concern is for his personal belongings. And so what is he thinking? Well, pardon me, but that's pure false. He needs courage to do that and willing to do that. And he has no courage, no bravery or will to do that. He would have remained here with his people. And tomorrow maybe they will live again the theory of chess. The king has to be kept firm, steady. Those are lies. You have been deceived. That's the mechanism to obtain the resources, money. So where did he go, this gentleman? To Argentina. It is not surprise because there is a fascist government there. Where is he going? Well, Panama, you know, Panama, what has become to, you know, he's going to go to the United States, you know, the opposition there against Venezuela. To Dominican Republic, he's going to go, or Uruguay. So what's the weight of that? But besides, you know, the government of Argentina, the outgoing government of Uruguay, and the outgoing government of the United States, because it seems like those of outgoing presidents and the one that is not going. They are not going, and anyway, we will receive them here in Venezuela. Mr. González Urrutia would just land in Venezuela. He will be detained and accused and charged with all these crimes that you have pointed out. There is no way, because even they have been inviting the police and military corps, and they even invoke Commander Chavez. So those opposition plans, it's very shameful for them. It's just insane. And so former presidents come. We are just waiting for you. Santos, Pastrana, come. Quiroga will be welcome. So there's a space for everyone. their room to receive them. So they won't dare to. We will dare to defend our homeland at all costs, and we won't allow that foreign criminals come to Venezuela to try to invade our country. They tried on February 23rd, and from Colombia they planned an invasion to our country, and these are not the same conditions, not even alike, not even similar. The conditions of 2019 and the conditions of this year 2025, we have been learning from all these lessons, and we know what we have to do. And yesterday I said on social media, I saw some persons who were at the airport in Panama. Oh my God! I wish I could see that Mr. If I get and then I get the $100,000. So the Venezuelan people is expected him, and they are just waiting him not for the money, but because he's a criminal and he's a mercenary, because he doesn't love Venezuela. And we always said it, because he was able to run the death group, the lethal groups against social leaders in the Central American country years ago, and he doesn't mind Venezuela. That's why the issue of assaulting power, disregarding elections, and if we don't win the elections, we must withdraw. And so then we lost one election, and we recovered, and we passed to the counterattack. Well, and they say we are 90% and 3% is Chavista. Edmundo González Urrutia, if you land in Venezuela, you will be detained and judged by the Venezuelan justice, and those who come with him will be in the same case too. We have space for everyone. Next question, please. Second question is Eligio Rojas by the Últimas Noticias Daily. Good morning, Minister. Indeed, last year you made two denunciations of plans related to the overthrowing of President Nicolás Maduro in August and in November. One of those plans were led by the U.S. military Wilber Joseph Castañeda, and the other led by entrepreneur José Enrique Rincón. But there have been revealed other incidents besides this or attached to them. We don't know exactly, but I will refer to three of them. One in the Great Caracas that have requested asylum to five followers of Maria Corina Machado, and other events were occurred in Guárico, killing the Venezuelan citizens and so on December 23rd, in that same, there was an alleged assault against the military installation. And so I would like to comment about the status of these three events that I have mentioned. Thank you very much. Well, one would answer, why is Martinez Motola getting out of the embassy? Why? I imagine that he will declare and will explain the reasons why he left the embassy. What did he leave? What he left? He lived there, and what he witnessed there. So it would be very interesting for him to say that in front of the audience for the country if there's any doubt of his low humane quality of that opposition sector, listen and be updated about. And so indeed, there was an attack in December, and 2 comrades passed away, and they were isolated, but not from the national contest. So it was public, communicational, and remarkable, and said for themselves that the criminal groups in Venezuela have an agreement with this fascist sector. They said they supported this fascist sector of Venezuela. They said it during elections, in tape recordings of the Tren de Aragua group, and in which they expressed their support to that sector, and they menaced the national government. And we said it in 2025. We said in the 2024, and that 2025 was the year of consolidation of peace in Venezuela, with the fighting against these opposition sector, fascist sectors. And so we all institutions are just working actively, and that attachment is very dangerous for the country. The attachment of criminal groups with opposition sectors, with fascist sectors, because that far-right opposition wing, so it represents the end of values, the end of principles. That far-right opposition doesn't regard about anything, just they regard about assaulting power. And so what they offered to criminals, routes of drug trafficking. Remember that Juan Guaidó offered Iván Duque a route for the Guajira in Venezuela, just free for drug dealing. What they offer to these criminals, pardon their crimes. Those criminals go go freely with their families. That's not going to happen. It's a union of criminals, political criminals, fascist criminals, with extortioners. And so we are just working in usually we work in silence and we act. We haven't spoke. Lately I just mentioned the seizure of those munitions. When we denounced that, they said there were lies. Until Interpol said they have the same information, but we have the fact of having seized the munitions, and we didn't let them go from the United States and we acted here in Venezuela. And so it is very shameful, the attack to the alleged fortress, and people who live nearby said there were lies, and the mercenaries told it was true, and it was just false and lies. Well, give me another question. Gamelotro wasn't there, and so that's just fantasy to convince the audience, to convince the people. And so that's the signal that it came. The start of Belém is a sign. Is a signal. I have a signal, but I didn't disseminate it, and they have nothing. They are just deceiving the people, making them believe that on January 9th, January 10th, it will happen anything, and it wasn't going to happen anything, because we will guarantee peace, and President Nicolás Maduro will take office, and everything who interferes in that will receive the punishment, a resounding punishment, and there's not going to, there's no attack whatsoever. Just Venezuela is at peace, and so the military are just at their holidays, and the police officers too. They are just some of them are at their holidays, and so they try to attach one thing with another, and they said that there are isolated acts, and they are just attached to the criminal groups are attached to the opposition far right. They are attached to the munitions and to the assassination of Tenant Ojeda in retaliation. So they are just involved in this, and we have received threats on December 16th, and we just arrived in January, and we are at peace. So they said we won't let them sleep, and they are the ones who are not sleeping. They are the ones who are not sleeping, and on January 10th there's going to be an activity here, a swearing ceremony. President Maduro will be taking office along with the people, and who's gonna blame for it? Maria Corina Machado, who's gonna blame? Edmundo Gonzalez, what are you going to say when? So come. I wish he had a gesture of bravery and come here in Venezuela. I don't know any criminal who have left and then have come back. You know why? Because they just go and enjoy their money outside, because they try to sell the country and they charge for it. And do you think that the Leopoldo Lopez, who's gonna leave their amenities in Spain, in Salamanca, to come here, or Ledesma, they will come here to Venezuela? No, they won't come. From here, the country must remember when they were detained and they received, they were sick, and then the family came and said they will let them die, but they are just very comfortable there at Spain, overseas. And Leopoldo said, I earn my living from being a professor at the university, so that's just a cover, and he's very comfy, and for them politics is a business, it's a way of making money. Thank you very much. Irene Gonzalez from IC channel. Maria Corina Machado summoned to a gathering this Thursday against the swearing ceremony of President Maduro, and she insists that Edmundo Gonzalez is going to swear in on January 10th. What do you say about it? And what do you think about the support messages of Edmundo Gonzalez of to the Bolivarian Armed Forces? Thank you very much. Well, did they summon already on January 9th? They summoned on January 9th, and they just well, they said nothing. Then they said that we want to sleep because we are afraid They are just hiding out the brave ones. Well, they do what they have to do, but we will do what it is at we will comply with our functions, and the social movements and parties will be active, and so the failure of each summon made by them or by her after July 28th cannot be hidden. The failure of the alleged tour of Edmundo González worldwide cannot be hidden. They will summon the ambassadors of the O's, and there wasn't an active response, and they blamed just the cold. And how can they be able to how can they move? So it is a failure. It's an absolute failure. That's why I said the encounter of those who live and those who don't come. So the one who's gonna swear along with his people is going to be Nicolas. Regarding that alleged support he requested, well, so they refer to Bolivarian armed forces. It is very pretty. So for el laque, they just messed around Bolivar. They reject everything that has to do with Bolivar. So they are hypocritical. All that persecution against our Bolivarian armed forces and police corps, they have been accusing them of any atrocity, and they have sanctioned, and then they come and ask for help. So we have insisted that their plan is not electoral but violent, assaulting powers by the hands of oligarchy to deliver Venezuela to imperial powers. So that's what the Venezuelan oligarchy is used to steal. They don't produce anything. The country must remember, Irene, you are very young, in this country, so maybe Edilio remembers it because he has more experience, that here in this country the debt of those private companies in Venezuela were assumed by the government at some point. X company, and we know all what X company is there. And there were the families of Maria Corina Machado who were indebted by millions of dollars, and these debts were assumed by the government. They have never produced anything. So they want that because they have been living, stealing, assaulting, and that's what the oligarchy wants, to assault power and deliver resources to the US, to Europeans. They will give them just a misery, a tiny quantity, but for them it is enough. It is enough, and so they want to tell the world that they are the owners of Venezuela. But anyway, the Bolivarian armed forces will respond duly before this. Next question, please. Fourth question and last, Madeleine Garcia by teleSUR. Hi, Minister, how are you doing? And if there is not going to happen anything on January 9th on that summon, what is your reading about this? Because there is no sense if you, well, then the use of social media to spread their narrative for the international audience. What's behind this? What have you analyzed on this? Well, I shouldn't be here. This is a hologram because I left Venezuela already. Didn't you see that on social media that I left? I took a plane and I left the country. I don't exist. We don't exist. They have nothing. They are just terrified. They are just afraid. Venezuela, they want Venezuela lives through fear. They don't want peace, tranquility, harmony, and nothing to allow Venezuelans to work, produce. There are Venezuelan sectors that realize about it. The first one were those sectors that are in the National Assembly, politicians. My political formation is not that. That caused the division of several countries, and the entrepreneur sectors in some level have emerged that. And well, there's a new sector, the entrepreneurs who have just started their business and they are doing well in Venezuela. But this far-right fascist sector doesn't want tranquility for our country, and so we will respond to them. We will respond to them. And right now, well, there's not going to happen anything. I am just convinced that it's not going to happen anything, but we won't lower our guard because we receive threats every day. So it would be responsible ahead of their threats. We don't do anything. We don't take our cautions. We don't get concerned for Venezuelans, for the tranquility of the country. We have a responsible government, a government that faces any problem. We don't disregard problems. We just face problems, and they are not interested in peace. They want terror for the people of Venezuela. And that's the way they rule, they govern. Look at them when they are mayors or governors. What do? How do they behave? So they are profoundly corrupt, inefficient, and inefficiency is covered with violence and persecution. They wouldn't admit incidents of somehow, but Venezuela is at peace and it's going to continue with peace, and we guarantee peace of Venezuelans, but we must be on alert. We must be just on alert. There is no, we cannot lower our guard. We must be alert. We must be on alert permanently for peace and tranquility. And so who's going to do that, Madeleine? Who's going to be in front of this? The state institutions. That's why you see, not only in Caracas, but nationwide. We have deployed security forces across the nation. You met across with lots of people on the streets because it is our duty. Yesterday or the day before yesterday, I stand at the Altamira Square and I was there. There were police officers, heads of the police, of national police, of municipal police, and there were civil protection officers just alert for any emergencies. So we spoke a little bit and we take coffee. There were some people at the square. We just greet some people without any problem. That people deserve to live at peace. Venezuelans, men and women deserve to live at peace. That's why our work, we are just working all year, 24/7. It is our duty, and so there must be someone to do it. And do you think, let's change our cars, do you think that they governing they taken office and comes out any revolutionary person on January 10th, there won't be a swearing ceremony. The swearing ceremony wouldn't be yours. Well, there will be a lot of deaths due to persecution, and those who are nerve-wracking because of the presence of the national military don't get nerve-wracking. It is the far-right fascist wing. So Eligio must remember the swearing of Carlos Manuel Pérez. Caracas was taken over by National Foreign Security Corps. Caracas was taken over by overseas security corps who came here to Venezuela. And at that moment I was an official of the armed forces, and the CIA was here in Venezuela, and the FBI and the European intelligence and the Israeli people were Israeli government was here in Venezuela, and so now they are uptight. So control your nerves, please. And so Madeline knows where to treat that. 125 detainees, mercenaries, 125 Venezuelans, Colombians, U.S. citizens, Peruvians, Spanish, Uruguayans, Italians, Czechs, from Lebanon, from the Netherlands, from Israel, from Germany, from Argentina, from Guyana, from Yemen. There are all of them are just mercenaries, 125 detainees, and so we will guarantee peace. Be certain about it that we are just committed to the peace of this country, and so my healthy recommendation for those who believe you will destabilize this country, you will be smashed, because we will be just very steady, resounding, will be extremely severe, always abided by the constitutional law. But to defend the homeland, no one will stop us. Thank you very much, sirs and madams and Venezuelans, men and women, all media outlets, and as we always said, tranquility of this country relies on all Venezuelans, men and women. So whoever wants violence, you will find not only the popular military police fusion, but the whole people of this country that wants peace and tranquility. Good morning to you all, and I hope you spend a happy new year, and just behave well on this day, and take care of yourselves.
We were listening to the statements of Venezuelan Interior Minister Diosdado Cabello. The official made a summary of the outstanding numbers of security forces, the work they did to maintain peace and security, with figures like only 4 homicides per 1,000 inhabitants last year. The Interior Minister denounced that far-right sectors are plotting with foreign intelligence agencies to sow chaos and violence in the country. Cabello reiterated the denunciations that these violent sectors have tried to enter into the country high-caliber weapons to carry out violent acts. The Interior Minister also added that investigations are ongoing and that all those involved will face justice. Diosdado said that anyone that tries to enter the country illegally will be judged as a foreign invader, while demanding that Venezuela's sovereignty is respected. For now, we have come to the end of this news brief. Remember, you can find us all this information and more on our website at